Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Andoer Monopod. Today I want to talk about hustle culture again, but more importantly, how you can drop this mindset altogether and start living a soft life. The concept of living a soft life has become very popular on YouTube recently, and although some people might see it as a trend, for me, it is a lifestyle that has changed my life, and I will never ever go back to my old ways. Because what I've realised is that the philosophy of living a soft life gives you so much more joy. It helps you to appreciate everything in life. And believe it or not, I have noticed more success since adopting this mindset than I ever did when I was in my hustle mode. Everyone has their own version in their head of what a soft life looks like, but in this video, obviously, I'm going to share my version. And just so you have a little bit of background, I was the biggest follower of hustle culture. I was pretty much a workaholic. Every single thing that I applied myself to, I would go at it 100%. I would feel guilty for resting, for sleeping. I never felt like I was doing enough. I would burn myself out all the time, so many times. I would reach points in my life where I simply had no more energy left to give. And even some of you guys that have been following me for a while on this channel, you know this already because I've spoke about it. So if you are a person that constantly feels guilty for not doing enough, if you're a person that says yes to everything, or if you simply feel overwhelmed and stressed, just know that I understand how that feels, believe me. So in this video, I want to give you not just practical tips, but also I want to share some new perspectives so that you can break that programming of hustle culture. Because, in my personal opinion, hustle culture is yet another nefarious agenda that the mainstream media have brainwashed people into adopting so that people become burnt out, they are actually less productive, they experience health problems, and you know that if your health suffers, it's pretty much game over. Let's just get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is sleep. There's a lot of channels on YouTube that promote the idea that sleep is not important. There are so many morning routine videos where people are claiming that they wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and they have this monumental morning routine where they go for a run or they do an hour-long cardio session, then they do yoga, then meditation, journaling, and a bunch of other stuff before they even start working. And some people might not have bad intentions when they make these videos, but most of the time it makes people feel like they're doing nothing with their lives, because really they couldn't even imagine having a morning routine like this. Now, I naturally am a night owl. I used to work a job where sometimes I didn't even finish work until 5 a.m. Naturally for me, my energy levels rise in the evening, and I've tried so many times to wake up early and try and do one of these morning routines, and I have never been able to. However, I know for a fact that I'm a very, very productive person. I've achieved a lot. And that's not because I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and didn't sleep. Because what they don't tell you about these early birds is that in order to compensate, they do have to go to bed at a ridiculously early hour. Sometimes 8 p.m. No offense if that's you, but I could never imagine going to bed even before 11 p.m. That's just me personally. The point that I'm making is, it doesn't matter what time you wake up. It doesn't matter whether you're doing your work in the morning or late at night, but it is vitally important that you prioritize your sleep and that you have a pattern that works for you. Some entrepreneurs say that they only get 6 hours sleep or less. To me, that's just going to send you into an early grave. You're not even going to be that productive if you haven't had enough sleep. So bottom line, don't feel guilty for getting enough sleep. Sleep is essential for you to function properly. Another thing that I want to mention to women in particular is that scientifically, women do actually need a bit more sleep than men, majoritively. I believe this is because of our huge fluctuations in hormones. If you watch my video about cycle syncing, that will go far more in depth. Men have a 24-hour hormonal cycle, whereas a woman's hormonal cycle is 28 days. So yeah, We're very different. The philosophy of hustle culture is more is more. If you want a successful lifestyle, best believe you're going to have to pay for it. That's what they tell you. But what I have found with the soft life approach is that less is more. Now, don't take that out of context. I'm not promoting laziness. In fact, laziness to me is the byproduct of someone who is uninspired, unmotivated, and actually exhausted. Because if you're not following your life path, if you're going against what you are destined to do, you will be exhausted, because going against your path will drain you. If you look at children are full of energy. We all know this. We see them running around and it's just like they never ever lose their energy. The reason for that is what I believe all humans are naturally at the core. We are naturally full of energy. The reason why we become tired and unmotivated and sometimes lazy is actually because our energy has been drained. And there are so many things in this world that can drain your energy. As soon as kids go into school, the school is draining the kids' energy. And the teachers are constantly telling the kids, sit down, stop fidgeting, stop moving, pay attention. They are forced into submission to listen to some drivel that they are not interested in at all, that 9 times out of 10 is not in the slightest bit beneficial to them, because every single person has a unique path. And believe me, if you're passionate about something and you're almost obsessively interested in it, that's a good indicator that that's part of your path. It's not that you've got ADHD because you won't listen to some boring teacher yabbering on about crap. Don't know where that came from deep within my soul. Some people have this belief because they've been drained for so long, they identify as a lazy person. And this is something that, if that's you, shake that belief off, because it's not real. I do not believe that any single person is naturally lazy. When I talk about the soft life, I'm really speaking about a life where you can be productive and you can enjoy it. A life where things are in balance, you get enough rest, and you also get that dopamine hit from doing things and being productive. So anyway, I always have to bear in mind when I do these videos that I am speaking to a plethora of different types of people. So on the one end of the scale, we have the people who identify as lazy and they just can't get motivated. But on the other end of the scale, we have people who are productivity addicts, but it's got to the point where it's not healthy. These people are stressed. They feel like they never have any time for anything. So this part is for you guys. If you're watching this and you're thinking, well, it's all great and everything, but at the end of the day, I have all of these things that I need to do and all these commitments that I need to keep up with, how on earth can I live a soft life? Here's what you do. The first thing to do is to assess what is actually important to you and what are your top priorities. Once you identify those things, categorize all these commitments that you have in your life, and anything that falls below that bar of priorities, start to get rid of it. Have you ever heard the term a busy fool? Well, I personally believe that that was me. I felt guilty for not working fast enough, not doing enough. So a lot of the time I would take on commitments because I had this subconscious belief that I wouldn't achieve anything and I wouldn't be successful if I wasn't constantly struggling and constantly running on the hamster wheel. But once you let go of that belief, once you realise that you can actually be successful, you can have everything that you want, and you can actually have the time to enjoy it, and you don't have to die trying, you'll realise that there's probably a load of commitments that you've made and things that you choose to do that could either be cut out altogether because they're not important and actually they're not achieving anything, but also you'll start to notice that there are ways in which you can achieve your goals quicker by either putting systems in place that make your life easier, being organised, and also just taking the time to think about how can I achieve this with less effort. And that's not being lazy, that's being smart. So I'll elaborate on all of those things. So first I was talking about cutting out stuff that is not important. I'll use myself as an example. As you guys know, recently I've been training to do the splits, and I've been really working on my flexibility. Initially, my old self would have just pushed myself to the absolute limit. I'd think to myself, the longer that I stretch, the more I stretch, the faster I'll get there. So I'll lumber myself with doing a 40-minute routine. Believe me, some people have tried this. It's not efficient, but I'll stretch for 40 minutes every single day. I won't have a rest day, and I'll just do a bunch of stretches that I think will help me get into the splits quicker. So that's the example of working hard. But if you were going to work smart, which is what I chose to do, you can actually achieve the results quicker with much less effort. So what I did was I took the time to research on the internet. I watched so many different videos, and I came across this one girl that had done a full breakdown of scientific research, and what she actually found was that in order to gain flexibility, you would need to stretch for a total of 10 minutes over the course of a week. And obviously consistency is key, so those 10 minutes would be split up into 5 days, which meant that in order to improve your flexibility, you only need to stretch for a total of 2 minutes a day per muscle group. What's also interesting is that when she showed the graph of people who stretched for longer than that amount of time, they didn't actually have any increased flexibility compared to the other group that was just doing the bare minimum. Their results were the same. But also even more interesting, the people that stretched for only 5 days a week, as opposed to 7 or 6 days a week, actually got results quicker. And why is this? Because your muscles need that time to rest and recover. So that was a very long-winded way of me saying, work smart, not hard. You can burn yourself out and be like a crazy busy fool, but it won't necessarily give you more results. In fact, you might actually start to notice that you're going backwards, because giving yourself the time to rest is actually essential for progress. And above everything else, consistency is key with everything. One thing that I did that really helped me was I started getting really good at saying no to things that I just knew weren't important. When I was assessing what is important to me, when it comes to my goals, my channel is obviously up there, near to the top, but also my health and fitness. For you, it might be something completely different, but whatever that is, I'd recommend that you create a routine that is realistic, that you know you can keep up with week in, week out. Sorry, I just had to make myself a coffee. What was I saying? Before you make a commitment, and this could be something that someone else is asking you or some kind of idea that you've got yourself, really stop and ask yourself, do I have the time and the energy to commit to this? And if you don't, have the discipline to say no. I'll give you a key example of what this can look like. If you've been following my channel for a while, you will know that I have a lot of clothes. I have more clothes than is humanly sane. It is a little bit of an obsession, but repeatedly I have this thought in my head that I should sell the clothes that I don't want, that are quite valuable. There's some dresses that I've literally never worn ever, and they're just sitting there in my wardrobe. But every single time I have this thought process, it circles back to the same answer, which is, it is not worth the time and effort that it takes. For me personally, it will not bring me back what I am putting in. And more to the point, I know for a fact that I would not be able to keep up with shipping out orders to people, going to the post office all the time. I don't even personally think I could handle getting questions from people about the clothes. There's all of these things that when I think of it, even just thinking of it, gives me heart palpitations. Because my main priority and my main focus is YouTube, my fitness and health goals, and obviously I want to have space and time to enjoy my life and be with family and look after the ridiculous amount of plants that I have. All of these things are more important to me than just getting a bit of money for some clothes that realistically I could just give to charity. Now, I'm not saying that selling clothes isn't worth it if you do that for a job, but I just know personally, for me, it would not be beneficial as a side hustle. For me. Anyway, the next thing to do if you want an easy life is to start getting organised. And if you personally feel like you aren't organised, don't worry, because everyone can change. The reason why I say this is because I am an organisation freak to the extreme, and the reason why I'm like this is because I want an easy life, but I also want to achieve a lot. And in order to do those things, organisation is literally everything. I have rewired my brain to constantly be thinking of, how can I find a shortcut to achieving this thing? Is there an easier way of doing this? I try to make it so that my day runs as smooth as physically possible, and I'm always looking for opportunities to save time. For example, I have a smoothie every single morning now, and you guys know that I love my powders. I now have a total of 5 different powdered superfoods that I put in my smoothie every single morning, which is maca, spirulina, wheatgrass, ginger, and turmeric. The daytime for me is obviously the most productive time that I use to do my editing and do everything that I need to do. So the quicker that I can make my morning smoothie, the better. So what I did was I got loads of those little pots that you get from Indian takeaway, and I put all of the powders that I need for each individual day into these little pots. So now, instead of opening up 5 different pots and using a different spoon to put each powder in, I simply have this one plastic pot that's got them all measured out, and I just boop, pop it in. Simples. It's things like that if you create systems and organise things ahead of time, it makes everything just run like clockwork. The difference between the hustle mentality versus the soft life is that one prioritises quantity, whereas the other one prioritises quality. And let me tell you, quality is everything. I posted a video probably about 8 months ago by now, maybe a year, where I was expressing to you guys that I had become burnt out. For nearly 4 years, I was pushing myself to release a video every single week without fail. And the amount of sacrifices that I had to make in order to keep up with that schedule was literally insane. During those 4 years, there were so many times where some extreme life event would happen that needed my attention, and instead of allowing myself to have that time to process what was going on, I would still force myself to film regardless of how broken I was. My fitness goals went out the window for a while, and even though I still do look at every video I make and think I tried my best, I had reached a point where the motivation was just dwindling. And I was struggling to think of what to film next. I'd kind of lost sight of even why I'd started this channel in the first place. As soon as I took that break and decided I'm going to ease up the schedule, I'm going to release a video once every 2 weeks, I was so nervous about doing that, but I tell you what, it has done me the world of good. Every single video that I make now, I'm able to put so much more energy into it. Every single subject that I speak about now, I am so passionate about it. I'm able to sit and enjoy editing again, and instead of rushing through and trying to get the video done, now I actually really enjoy the process. And I hope it shows to you guys. I mean, I've had a lot of feedback from you guys recently, and I feel like you can notice a difference as well. But even if you don't, I feel different. I feel like I can keep up with this consistently till the end of time. But that same philosophy, you can apply that to every single thing that you do as well. You will get better results from putting in quality work where you're heavily focused, as opposed to just rushing through something and trying to get it done and trying to do as much as possible. Fuck hustle culture. It's complete bullshit. If you enjoyed this video or want more videos like this, let me know. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, commenting and subscribing. And a special thank you to every single person who donates to this channel. It really does help a great deal. Love you, bye.